To find diamonds in the rough, he goes with Lee Cowan and meets Mike Wolfe, an American picker. American pickers made him well known and wealthy. After that, everything fell apart. It cost $5.8 million for Mike Wolfe to get divorced. After they got into a fight, his friend Frank died. His store closed for no clear reason. And now fans are wondering if the show is even real. From fake finds to neighbors who are mad. Finally, the real Mike Wolfe story is being told. And it's not what you see on TV. Mike Wolfe was born in Joliet, Illinois, on June 11, 1964. He went to Bettendorf, Iowa, with his family when he was young. There he grew up with his siblings Beth and Robbie. Rita, his mother, raised them by herself, and worked hard to make ends meet. Wolfe never let the lack of money stop him. He found chances in places he didn't expect to find them. In order to avoid being picked on his way to school, he changed his path and went through backyards and streets. That's where he first saw things that other people had missed, things that people had thrown away. When he was only 6 years old, he saw a banana seat bike in the woods behind a neighbor's house. He took it out, cleaned it up, pumped up the tires, and put $5 on it. It wasn't just about the cash. How exciting it was to find something valuable where no one else had looked. That moment made him feel something. He spent more time looking for old bikes, furniture, and antiques as he got older. While the other kids played sports or watched TV, Wolfe was determined to fix up old bikes and broken chairs that he brought home. Because she knew how much he loved what he did, she let him use the family shed as a workshop. He wasn't just putting away trash, he was learning how to fix things up and sell them. Because he loved bikes so much, he opened a bike shop before he turned all of his attention to antiques. At the end of 2000, Wolfe chose to make his lifelong hobby into a business. He opened a store called Antique Archaeology in LeClaire, Iowa, which is full of interesting things he found while out picking. He spent his days looking for lost pieces of history in barns, sheds, and empty buildings. The business grew slowly at first, but when American Pickers started on the History Channel in 2010, everything changed. The show became a hit right away. People really enjoyed seeing Wolfe and his team find lost treasures all over America. It wasn't just about old things though. There were stories about them, like the background, the skill, and the people who used to own them. As American Pickers became more well-known, archaeology of the past grew. Wolfe opened a second store in Nashville, Tennessee, inside a rebuilt factory that used to make cars. It turned into more than just a shop. People who are interested in history could go there to connect with the past. Wolfe started his company with a simple thought: find historical items that have been lost, fix them up, and put them in touch with people who understand how important they are. Being able to find useful things and talk about them turned the shop that sells old digs into something bigger. Besides selling old things, he started Two Lanes, a clothesline that was based on road trips in small-town America. He also wrote Kid Pickers, a book that encourages kids to learn about history by gathering things. But that wasn't the end of his love. Wolfe didn't just want to sell old things. He wished to keep America's past safe. This Place Matters and other projects like them help. He worked to fix up old buildings and small-town landmarks, as part of a program with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. He took a 1947 Chevy dealership and turned it into a store in LeClaire, while saving the building's original look. It was in Columbia, Tennessee, where he helped bring old buildings back to life, showing that history could be kept alive without losing its meaning. Mike Wolfe's journey to make American Pickers began a long time before the cameras were rolling. In his search for fame, he wasn't just another reality TV show. He always picked things up, seeing value in things other people threw away. Wolfe drove back roads for decades, digging through barns and sheds to find old American artifacts. He gathered more than just things. He also gathered stories. He made movies of his trips, captures the thrill of finding something new, and the human stories behind each item. Those films were the most important part of his pitch to TV networks. Rather than just selling a show, he was selling an idea, a way to make history interesting by linking it to the regular people who kept it alive without even realizing it. Wolfe tried to sell his idea for 5 years, but no one bought it. Most networks didn't think it was interesting that two guys were driving around looking for old things. He didn't want to give up, though. He always knew that what he was doing was unique. In 2009, all of his hard work paid off. The History Channel saw what could be done, and made American Pickers a few months later. The show was an instant hit when it first aired on January 18, 2010. 3.1 million people watched the first episode, making it the History Channel's most popular news show since Ice Road Truckers. That number rose to almost 4 million in just a few weeks. The time was just right. History-based reality TV shows like Pawn Stars had already shown that they could work, and American Pickers fit right in with that trend. But its heart made it stand out. You could do more than just buy and sell on this show. It was about the people, the places, and the past facts that were easy to miss but still important. A big reason why the show did well, Wolfe worked together with Frank Fritz to make it happen. They had been friends since middle school and became close because they both liked old things. As kids, neither of them had a father, and they both liked the thrill of the hunt. Wolfe chose Fritz to be a co-host on American Pickers because he was a perfect fit. He made the show funnier and cozier with his laid-back attitude and love of strange collectibles like old toys and oil cans. He could make people feel at ease in front of the camera, which helped collectors tell their best stories. The show felt real because of how well they got along. There wasn't forced drama or exchanges. People could relate to the fact that it was two old friends doing what they loved. Even though Fritz had to leave the show because of problems in 2021, it was clear that he had a big impact on its early success. Besides having interesting hosts, American Pickers stood out because of the way it was put together. There was more to each show than a treasure hunt. It was a trip through time. Wolfe made sure that the show didn't just talk about how much something was worth in money. It also talked about what it meant to people in other cultures. Where did it come from? Who had it? Why did it matter? This way of telling stories turned things that didn't seem important into strong links to the past. The show also had a message about being environmentally friendly. It wasn't just about making money to pick. It was about reusing old things. In a time of mass production and disposable society, American Pickers showed that things from the past were still valuable, not just in money but also in terms of what they meant. From the very beginning, American Pickers changed the way history could be shown on TV. It had nothing to do with books or museums. It was about regular people and lost riches, and the stories that are tucked away in strange places. For more than 10 years, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz traveled together and turned old rusty junk into valuable finds on American Pickers. They worked together to make the show a hit, but their friendship began to weaken behind the scenes. By the year 2020, everything had broken down. Fritz quit being on the show that year. At first, there was no reason given. Fans wished he would come back, but months went by and he still hadn't done it. Wolfe posted on Instagram in July 2021 that Fritz was no longer with Wolfe. He said that their trip had its ups and downs, but that Fritz would be missed. Fritz didn't believe a word of it. During an interview, he said that Wolfe's claim was false. Fritz later told Wolfe that they hadn't talked in 2 years. Even though Fritz had major back surgery in 2020, Wolfe they never checked in. "Jack knew my back was hurt, but he didn't call me to see how I was," Fritz said. He felt like someone he had known for more than 40 years had left him. The fight was about more than just being quiet. Fritz thought that Wolfe had taken over the show completely. He said it was skewed 11 times in his favor. He said they were like a band where Wolfe was always the lead singer and he played backup. But Wolfe's health problems made things even worse. Fritz had Crohn's disease for many years, which made him weak and in pain all the time. He couldn't drive in 2020 because he had back surgery. He became hooked on drugs during that time. The network had strict rules about drug use, and Fritz allegedly failed the tests that were required of him. They had another reason to not let him be on the show because of that. Fritz said he hadn't quit, though. He was fired. The fight happened in public. Fritz said Wolfe had pushed him away so that his brother Robbie Wolfe, who was appearing on American Pickers more, could get more attention. Wolfe, on the other hand, said he had tried to help Fritz and were even telling him to get help. He said the fight was painful and said it was like losing a brother. It was official by the middle of 2021. The History Channel announced that Fritz was leaving. Fans were mad. They had seen him and Wolfe fly across the United States for more than 300 shows since the first episode in 2010. A lot of people thought the show wasn't the same without him. Some people started campaigns to get him back, but by that time, Fritz's health was more important than TV. Then bad things happened in July 2022. Fritz had a bad stroke that made him partly paralyzed and unable to get out of bed. His health never got better. On September 30, 2024, when he was 60 years old, he died. Wolfe was said to have been by his side in the end, despite everything. In May 2023, they got back in touch in secret. Wolfe wrote a message to Fritz on Instagram after he died. He called him a dreamer who was both sensitive and funny. It became famous for Mike Wolfe to look through barns and backyards and find lost treasures on American pickers. Over the years, though, his image has been hurt. There are fans who wonder if the show is real, and there are fans who don't like how he runs his business. Recently, his attempts to fix up a small town caused trouble. This mess hasn't stopped him, but it has changed how people see him. In the history of American pickers, the show Shelby in the Barn caused one of the biggest arguments, which aired in 2016. In this episode, Wolfe and his co-worker John Sale went to Alabama to look for a Chevy neon sign. Instead, they found a rare 1967 Shelby Mustang GT 500 that had apparently been sitting there without being driven for more than 40 years. Fans quickly asked questions because the find seemed too good to be true. People shared it on Facebook and Reddit, trying to figure out how a car that rare could show up so easily on camera. Some people thought that the production staff scouted sites ahead of time and planned finds ahead of time to make the show more exciting. Others said that reality TV always has some planning, but this scene seemed like it was planned ahead of time. Details about the money made people even less sure. The Mustang was worth about $75,000 even though it was in bad shape. It would cost more than $100,000 to fix up. Wolfe offered to buy it, but the owner said no because it was special to them. This made rumors even stronger. Some fans thought that the setup was planned to be dramatic, while others said that the show needed times like this to keep things interesting. It was one of the most talked about finds in the history of American pickers, no matter what. Outside of the show, people have also said bad things about Wolfe's business. A customer in 2022 said that his shop, Antique Archaeology, had backed out of a deal to take a higher offer. They used the website to place an order, got a confirmation, and then all of a sudden got their money back with no reason. They were suspicious and made a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, writing, "I think they took a higher offer. I just want them to respect the deal the way they did the first time." The answer from Antique Archaeology was say that two people bought the same thing on January 21, 2022, just hours apart. Because of a bug in the system, both purchases went through before the inventory could be updated. Because of this, the second order was returned. Even after this answer, some customers were still angry. There were already complaints about the shop. Many people have said bad things about the high prices over the years, with some saying that simple old signs brand name socks cost $18 and shoes that cost $900. Some people aren't sure about Wolfe's morals, even though the business makes about $900,000 a year. After the trouble with the online sale, his team promised to make the website better so that problems like that wouldn't happen again. Some people have said mean things about Wolfe, but it's not about his show or his shop. It's about what he did to make Columbia, Tennessee different. 22 for $70,000, he bought an old house there. He spent over $1 million putting it back together the way it was originally built. That was just the start. Part of his plan to bring new business to the town was to buy several buildings, such as a 2-lane vacation rental and a bike shop. Not everyone is happy with his work, but some people do. Some people say he is making property values go up and making Columbia what it is today. When plans for a $93 million 6-story condo building came out, people were even more worried. Some people in the town are worried that its small-town beauty is going away. Others worry that they will be priced out of their own neighborhood. Wolfe thinks of his job as a way to both keep history alive and make money. He often shares information about his restoration projects on social media. He was showing off his collection of old cars, which includes a $42,400 1959 Chevrolet El Camino. But his love of old things hasn't stopped people from criticizing him. People are still arguing about how he affected Columbia, but for many it brings up a bigger question. What is the difference between regeneration and gentrification? It's been years since Mike Wolfe looked for lost riches all over the United States.